Good morning and welcome to the Sunday service. This morning we're going to meditate a few minutes. After that, going to give a Dhamma talk. So right now, Subodh, you can start a little bit meditation. Even we don't have that much people, just a little bit meditation.
All right, let's get into a comfortable position. Close our eyes. Begin with 3 deep breaths. And now let's generate thoughts of goodwill, loving kindness, metta, beginning with ourselves. This is a sincere wish, a wholesome desire for our true and lasting welfare and happiness. We might think to ourselves, may I be happy, may I be peaceful, may I be free from stress and pain, free from suffering. May I live with a heart and mind unburdened by greed, by aversion, by delusion. May I look after myself with ease. And we further extend our goodwill, our loving kindness to our loved ones, our family, our friends, our teachers, our guides, our mentors, all those close to our hearts, all those that we respect, all those that we admire. May they also be happy, peaceful, free from stress and pain, free from suffering. May they live with hearts and minds unburdened by greed, by aversion, by delusion. May they look after themselves with ease. And we extend our metta further to our acquaintances, those that we don't know so well. May they also be happy, peaceful, free from stress and pain, free from suffering. May they live with hearts and minds unburdened by greed, by aversion, by delusion. May they look after themselves with ease. And we extend our goodwill, our loving kindness, even to those that we have difficulty getting along with, those that we have difficulty respecting and admiring, even those that may call us enemy. May they also be happy, peaceful, free from stress and pain, free from suffering. May they also live with hearts and minds unburdened by greed, by aversion, by delusion. May they look after themselves with ease. And in this spirit of admirable friendship, we extend our loving kindness, our goodwill, in all directions, to the north, to the east, to the south, to the west, above and below, outward to infinity. May we all be happy, peaceful, free from stress and pain, free from suffering. May we all live with hearts and minds unburdened by greed, by aversion, by delusion. May we all look after ourselves with ease. And now, with our hearts and minds immersed and uplifted in the metta that we have cultivated, let us now turn our attention to the breath. And we sit in an upright posture, ardent and alert. Mindfully, we set aside greed and distress with reference to the world. Bring your attention to a place in the body where you feel the breath most easily. And allow yourself to settle there. As you breathe in, as you breathe out, become aware of the quality of the breathing. Is the breath long? Is it short, deep, or shallow? Allow yourself to become fully aware of the kind of breathing happening right now. Whatever thoughts of the future, whatever thoughts of the past, whatever thoughts in regard to the outside world, you can set them all aside for now. Allow this mindfulness of breathing to be your sole occupation. Every time the mind wanders, bring it back. You might even find it useful to bring it back with an especially gratifying breath. It's in this simple practice of mindfully breathing that we train the mind to settle down, giving rise to steady concentration that allows us to stay right here and right now, steady like a flame. So as we continue meditating together, bring yourself back to the breath as many times as you need to. Allow yourself to be fully immersed in the breath. It might even be helpful to imagine as if you were being bathed in the breath, soothed and satisfied by it, establishing in yourself a pleasant abiding, a place to be, for the mind to settle and become illuminated. So continue meditating in this way until you hear the bell.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you, Subodha, leading the meditation. Again, today we had little people, not too much, because most of our monks, they are somewhere else today, and Tom and Victor, they are somewhere else. And earlier for the meditation for people, they left, they cannot stay some case, including Ben and everybody, somebody. So however, one person is here right now, that's our speaker. So he is with his family members, that's a good thing. So Sai, again, thank you for the coming all the way over there to here. So we will continue the service.
Who's online? Is anybody online? Is anybody online?
We're doing YouTube Live.
Oh, just oh, we don't see any. Okay, that's okay. It's all right, but
All right, Sai, you can start your talk.
okay.
You don't need that.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Nidinang vapavattarang yang passe vajjadassinang. Niggayhavading medhavi tadisang panditang bhaje. Tadisang bhajamanassa seyo hoti na papiyo. Venerable Sir, Subodha and their friends in Dhamma. As usual, it's always an honor and pleasure to attend this event in International Meditation Center here. We use this time to talk about the Buddha's teaching, and to me it's also about reflecting on Buddha's teaching. So I know, but you said that there are not many people, and you mean it. And we have our devoted Dhamma friend, Mr. Nam, is here. I hope people are not leaving the country after the election, right? I heard some people pack their suitcase and start planning the trips. If you are Buddhist, or if you know any friends who is Buddhist, or if you have heard anybody who talk about Buddhist ideas, you shouldn't worry much, because we have a saying, this too shall pass. All right, whatever we are about to face, it will pass. But regardless, I know there are people who will engage in this little bit of a talk later, but today I was planning to talk about, and I'm planning to talk about friends, right? Friends are very near and dear to me, because if you think of Buddhism, in Buddhism there were one time Venerable Ananda asked the Buddha, he actually made a comment, good friends are very important. They are, at least 50% of the time, the reason that we succeed in our journey, whether it is a normal life or a ordained life. And Buddha corrected him. Buddha said, well, good friends are 100% responsible for your successful life, especially in your spiritual journey. So Buddha highlighted that having kalyana mitta, the righteous friends, in translation, or friends with good values, are extremely important. And there is one sutta that I wanted to talk today. It's from Sigalovada Sutta. This was an advice to a young man who did not know about the Buddha, but his father told him, once I am passed away, you have to offer, you have to bow, sort of worship 6 directions, east, west, north, south, and the up and down, all those 6 directions, and you have to worship every day. As a good son, Sigala kept the word and kept the promise, And he started doing that after his father passed away. And the father knew one day he's going to see the Buddha. So there was the time when Buddha was passing by, this young man was doing the worship to these directions, and Buddha asked, do you know why are you doing these? What does it mean to you to bowing these 6 directions? And Sigal had no clue. And I didn't know, just my dad told me to do it. And that's why I'm doing it. And Buddha, let me tell you what those directions stand for. And Buddha gave the meaning. There was these 6 directions are actually our relationship. And those are the relationship. And east, west, north, south, in order, and Buddha explained, parents are on the east, right? And the upper direction is the teachers, the religious teachers, so on. And the down direction are the workers, that your employees. And the other direction is your friends. And the 2 other directions are children and partners. So Buddha assigned these 6 directions. But we will talk more about the responsibility it's mentioned. But I wanted to share about, he also explained what kind of friends, people you should associate. Because Buddha valued kalyanamitas, right? Righteous friends. And there are 4 types of friends. And I looked into English translation. Some of them are mentioned as fake friends. Some of them are translated as disguise in friends. Now, when you associate family member, you don't get to choose. You're born into certain family, your siblings, your cousins, your parents, grandparents. You don't get to choose those family members. But friends, you make choices. You choose them. And when you choose those friends, make sure you stay away from these 4 types of friends, those who are fake friends. That's what I want to talk today. And one of the friends that Buddha highlighted in this sutta is Anyadatuhara. And the translation is somebody who takes your belonging. And I looked into the definition. Anyadatuhara in Pali, in English it would be like the person who's taking things away from you. And one word would be like a sort of similar to parasite. That's something that is associated with you but continues to take things from you. And their qualities, as you can imagine, they're there just to take your belongings. They're friends just for the sake of benefit. They want to take what you have and make theirs. And they give very little. They don't share much. And if you listen, and if you think of, I don't want to call somebody, but think of your friends. The friend you have who share very little but always want to take a lot from you. And they are in your life, not because they respect, they care, but a little bit of fear in them. Because if you don't continue the friendship, they might fear that you're going to lose some of the benefits they have. And another thing these parasite friends may have is that all they care about is their advantage. So those kind of individuals are considered anyadatuhara, the parasite friends. Right? They're not friends, they're fake. They are in our life for their own benefit. And friends should be mutual. They should be reciprocal relationship, not one way. And there's another group of friends in that same sutta. In Pali, it is called Anyadatuhara and Vachi Parama, the lip servers. You may have some friends who is, again, not friends, they're fake friends, those who are constantly serving you by lips, which means they will constantly tell you what you like to hear. They praise you all the time, right? They will say yes to everything you do. And they will continue to look for the opportunity to criticize behind your back. Now, the election just passed. A lot of people took sides on blue sides and red sides. Some people talked about both sides. And if you listen to news now, you hear a lot. And if you are a true friend, that wouldn't happen. And if you have a friend who is always praising you in front and backstabbing behind your back, or talking nasty things about you behind your back, consider them a fake friend. That's the second type of friend, just the lip server. And the third type of friend is, in Pali it's called Anuppiya Bahani. It's a very nice word, but not a good meaning. Anuppiya Bahani, these are, in English you can call fronting friends. They are always fronting. For example, if you have a friend who, again, not a friend, fake friend, who will tell you, you share something happened to you and, oh, you should have told me, I could do a lot more. So their promises are for the past. You deal with some challenges, they promise, oh, I could have done you so much. I could have helped you in many ways. Or they will give you promises for the future. You know, I will do all the things that you need. I'll be there for you in the future. And when time comes, when you ask for help, and they have more trouble than yourself. So when in the time of need, they have trouble keeping their promise. So these are people, the fronting. They are making promises that's not realistic. And when you ask for actual help, they present their problem as bigger ones. And the last one is apaya sahaya in Pali, which means accompany to help. That's the translation. But those individuals are like, and Jack can give me a word, the fair weather friends, who is there just to have good time. You know, you're partying, gambling, travel, they are in those times, they are friends, but when you have difficulties, they disappear. So these are 4 friends. Like in English, there's a parasite, lip server, fronting, and fair weather friends, right? These are fake friends, Buddha warned that you have to keep them away. And there's a reason, and we'll talk about other good friends in the next meeting. There's a reason why do you not want these people in your life? Because, like I said, friendship should be mutual. It should be not just for the sake of one person's gain, but for the benefit of both parties. And that's where in Buddhist teaching we have, how do you find good friends? It's very rare, and so that's the gatha I mentioned earlier. People, those who find your mistakes and who point out these are some of the faults or mistakes that you have, Buddha considered those mistakes as somebody who pointed the hidden treasure. Put more effort, use more effort to associate friends like them who point out your weaknesses, your challenges, your areas of growth. And tadisang bhajamanasa sayo hoti na papyo. People never get wrong, or people will always progress when you have friends like them. And in another situation, Buddha also gave, how do we know if somebody is a kalyanamitta, righteous friend? And to keep it simple, Buddha gave some, you look at yourself and you have some moralities. You practice certain moralities, whether it is, let's say, based on Buddhist teaching, you follow 5 precepts. Based on any other faith, you don't do certain things. Some more universal things like, you don't want to hurt others. It doesn't need to be Buddhist. You don't want to hurt anybody. That should be like a, what's it called, a gold standard rule for being human, right? We are different from animals because we have those moral duties, moral feelings. And there's another, in Sanskrit, there is one really nice, my favorite saying, ahara nidra bhayamaitunancha samanimetat pasubir naranam. For humans and animals, sleep, food, sex, and fear, very common. We all engage in those, whether you're animal or humans. Those are basic living beings' needs or experience. What makes samanimetat pasubir naranam? Dharmo itesang madiko visesa. What makes us different from animals, because we do all of those 3, is because dharma, which means the fear to engage in wrong deed, and shame to do wrong things. That's what makes human different from animals. If you give up that, you're no different than animal. That's what this gatha means, right? So very fine line is there to tell human from non-humans. And if you cross that line, lying is, I don't know, some people might argue, is that violating? Well, if you have fear to lie, yes, that is considered dharma. Fear to hurt others, and fear to steal others' belonging. So sometimes people prescribe precepts to religion, but as humans we should know those are very fine line, keeps us unique as humans. And I like in Sinhala we have a saying, right? In Pali, the manasanang usati manusa. In manusa means humans. Humans are called human in Pali, Manusya, because we have greater mind. That's what Manusya means. And to keep that away, we need to think about your morality. And when you look at your own moral practices, whatever precepts you have, whatever rules that you have, find somebody who has equal or better moralities. That's how you find good friends. That's one. And that's sila. And saddha, confidence or faith, some kind of a practice that guides you. Doesn't need to be Buddhism, doesn't need to be Christianity, but something that guides you, that teach about meaning of life. And I was teaching a theory in my class, and one of the questions I asked them is like, how do you find meaning in life? That's a hard question to answer. Some people think money, some people think life, relationship. There's so many, and all of them are correct. You can choose whichever you want. We find meaning when we know our life has a limited time. If you think your life is ongoing without any end, it will be meaningless. So when you know I have very limited time, if you are 40, if you plan to live 80 years, then you have 40 years left. And that 40 years is not fully dedicated to find meaning or find purpose. So knowing that we are here for a short time and we should use that time in a good way, that's what gives meaning to our life. So finding meaning is important. So that's where you find some kind of direction. And the Buddha's teaching is a great source who talk about how to make our life more meaningful. So finding that faith, the confidence, if you have one, and find somebody who has similar ideas, similar values, similar desire. That's how you find good friends. That's the saddha, right? It doesn't change easily. And chaga means generosity or willing to give. That there are sometime, and in the same sutta we'll talk about it, some people give for the sake of taking back or for return, expectation. But if you learn to give, in Pali there's a nice word, payatapani. When you give, you should give as if you're washing your hand, the dirt from your hand. You don't want that dirt back. You don't care where it goes. Once you give, it's gone. If you have that attitude, that's a good practice of giving. And a lot of the Buddhist talks you hear, you should give so you go to heaven. That's given there. It's there. You don't need to pray or wish for heaven. If you give, it's happening. You like it or not, it's happening. But giving should be associated with practice of letting go. You're learning to let go of material things, and then eventually learning to let go of your emotions, your strong, whatever you have identified as self, and eventually your whole body. When you die, if you haven't practiced that letting go, and if you haven't thought about giving is associated with letting go of strong bonds that we have, it will be very hard when time comes. So Buddhist teaching of giving is not just like you give, you get merits or punya or heavenly blessing. You don't need to wish for them. You can turn them into wholesome practice. If you give for the sake of merit, we call punya. But if you give for the sake of letting go, we call them wholesome. That means you're smarter, you're wiser in that sense. So that's another practice, third one, right? The practice of generosity. You have that. Find somebody who has equal qualities, who is giving, who is generous, or better. So you learn more from that person. And the last one is panya, the person who is wise. I joked about, if you're Buddhist, you don't need to worry about the election, this too shall pass. It's not a joke. That's understanding. It's a deep understanding about impermanence. So panya is wisdom, the wisdom of change, wisdom of impermanence. You can see in yourself, as you grow older, as you grow mature, you see change in yourself. Now, just seeing the photos from the 1 to 3 to 5 to 10, just seeing is not wisdom. That's your knowledge. As people age, they look different. Wisdom is deeper understanding, very experience that if you have a strong body, if you have a good tasty food, they don't last forever. And knowing that things are meant to change is what this experiential knowledge of impermanence is called wisdom. And wisdom is important, because if you don't have that wisdom, we will be the opposite, like ignorance. We will be struggling with a lot. So if you have some level of wisdom, find somebody who is as wise as you are or better than yourself. So those are 4 qualities. You look for moral practice, you look for confidence, you look for generosity and wisdom. You have some, find somebody who has same level or better than yourself. That's how you find good friends. And one last thing I like to mention is another gatha in Dhammapada is Charangche Nadigachaya Seyang Sadisamattano. Ekacharyang Dalankaira Natti Bale Sahayata. It's a very nice gatha. It says, find a friend who has these qualities, either equal to yourself or more than yourself, and associate them as good friends. They are, by definition, Kalyanamitas, righteous friends. If you couldn't find somebody who has these qualities, at least to your level or better than yourself, you're better off being alone, better off being yourself. So you cannot rely on fools. You cannot associate friends for the sake of, I need somebody to be with me. And be aware of those 4 friends I mentioned earlier. A lot of people fall for that, and it's unfortunate. The statistic says, so you'll be surprised that half of the Americans don't even have one good friend. Men, I'm talking about men. That's the statistics. Half of the men don't have one good friend in their life. Very lonely world, right? So, if you are okay with that, that's fine. And the last piece of advice that you can take from this, Buddha's teaching is that if you couldn't find any good friend, be one. Be one good friend that attracts somebody who is the same thinking, who is aspiring to find a good friend. So you can be that Kalyanamitta, so you attract somebody who's similar to you in your values, in your practice. So at least we will kind of reduce that statistics, right? We'll bring it down to lower and have more friends, more Kalyanamittas, because they will guide us. I'll talk about what are some qualities in good friends in our next meeting, but those good friends always have your back. Try to be there not for the sake of taking something or their own benefit, but rather protect you. And that's the type of friends we want and the qualities we look for. So hopefully this is a good message and reminder, teaching from the Buddha, and you will apply that in your life, guide yourself to the right direction, and continue to practice and listen and learn about Buddha's teaching, and bring some peace, bring some value in your life. So I will conclude on that note, and may you be well, happy, and peaceful. Thank you.
Thank you, Sai. Now, do you have any question, anything?
Yes, I have a lot of things to ask.
And I'll ask some stuff too, don't worry.
You just towards the end, you said you can find, if I can find anyone, so just one.
Be yourself a good friend.
So
Have that qualities in you, yes. Have those qualities in you. So somebody who's looking for a friend can find you as a good friend, as a Kalyanamitta. Because we always look outside, who is a good friend? And we forget to look at ourselves. Am I a good friend to anybody? Right? So if you can develop those qualities, having that moral practice, having good confidence, having that generosity and developing that wisdom, so you become a friend when someone else is looking for a friendship.
In the past, I had a lot of friends, and also called a good friend too, close friend. And until now, since I'm more focused on my Buddhism practice, and those kind of friends on the old days, they kind of stay away from me.
Yeah.
And I have a new friend from the temple. I know from the temple, or from maybe, I go from the temple. There, I have 2 temples.
Yeah.
And Vietnam temple. And seems as I had more close friend, new one, and I'm thinking, all my life, in certain periods of the time of my life, I have different kind of good friend.
Mm-hmm.
Until now, seems all the friend I used to have before, good friend, close friend, now they're fading away. Sometimes I don't hear anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Once in a while, we contact,
Mhm.
we get some line to get together, but seems as we have nothing to talk.
Mm.
Just because
You don't have common things to talk about.
when you talk to me, more like outside is
Mhm.
society thing. And when I talk to them, I talk more about the Dhamma thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So we're very fighting with each other, like even though we're not fighting.
Yeah.
But like I hardly want to hear what they want to tell me.
Mm. I'm sure they feel the same about you.
Yeah.
So different values, yes.
Yeah, so the good friend, well, just like you say, maybe I'm only one friend of myself, better than I need so many friends. I understand it now.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not. Sometimes the life evolves. You have different values, and what I have. So when I was in Sri Lanka, and I was popular not because I did something good. I used to have a friend, a Christian brother. So he was wearing white robe. I was wearing monk robe. We were like this, very close friends. He was brother. He teaches Christianity, and I teach Buddhism. Very different look, very different lifestyle, but we connected because there are things that we both can talk, we both can share. So when you have that common things, it doesn't matter how different you are. We are tolerant. And he was even planning to invite me to give a talk in his place. So we had a very good friendship for 3.5 years. Unfortunately, he left for another program. He went to Europe. Middle of he didn't finish the degree. He went to Europe. So I lost his contact with him. But while that 3.5 years, we were very close. What I'm trying to tell you is, when you share this common values, when you have that something you both appreciate. So we talk a lot about philosophy, Buddhist philosophy. He talk about Christian philosophy and life. We always have so many things to engage in dialogue. I'm not trying to convince him or convert him or vice versa. It was such a good company. We enjoyed, and we enjoyed each other's company, and that's how friends are. I'm not trying to convert somebody to become like me. I want to appreciate the person as they are, and that's how we continue to maintain friendship. As soon as you try to flip them or change them, and people walk away because it's not going to be friendship anymore. And that's what I like in a Buddhist way, looking at it. You find somebody who has some common grounds, you can talk, and as long as you accept the person as they are, the way they have the worldview, and you can share your knowledge, try to tell them. It's up to them, but not force. That's how you maintain friendship, right? I have a lot of monk friends. Still, we are friends. I have lay friends, like me. A lot of new friends, and we share common goals. That's where we meet, and we can keep that relationship. I'm not going to change them. If I try to, then that's when you start losing those friendship. It becomes conditional. It becomes more like difficult to maintain that relationship. Yeah. Yes. So, Bodhi, you said you have a question too?
Sure. Yeah. Well, it's not something I'm struggling with myself.
Mm-hmm.
Given your theme today,
Mm-hmm.
I thought this would be like a worthy discussion, like to
Mm-hmm.
ask this question, see what your advice would be. Because for those of us who have been immersed in the practice for a long time, developing for a long time, we get to a point where we have a good amount of discernment, with judiciousness, let's say,
Mm-hmm.
so we're able to choose who we associate with,
Yes.
and keep those strong boundaries. But I think about someone, whether they be Westerner or not,
Mm-hmm.
who's new to the practice, or have finally gotten to a point in the practice where there's that light bulb moment. Their eyes open and they look around them and they see what kind of people they have been associated
Mm-hmm.
with. And I wonder then, okay, what's the advice to that person in terms of when it's an issue of keeping appropriate boundaries with those who are not kalyanamita, but more like the kind of people you were talking about, or when it's time to break away and be like, as the Buddha talked about, the bull elephant or the rhinoceros, to go wander off away alone, And so for that person who is just barely into the practice and their eyes kind of go, oh yeah, look at this. What would your advice be for someone like that?
It's very good practical question, Subodha. And I would start with one thing. In Buddhism, the Buddha's teaching has two directions, or sort of two paths. Anyāhi lavupanisa, anyāhi nibbanagamini, right? Some people are, most people are in the journey of regular, like ordinary life, like married, family, children, friends, employers, employees, cousin, and all the relationship. That's one path. There's another part, anyāhi nibbanagamini, is a Buddhist teaching that's very much focused on getting to the destination, which is enlightenment, right? The path for enlightenment, which is sort of like a fast track, right? You're going on the freeway, you're going on regular lanes versus fast track, you have less obstacles, you reach the destination a little faster. So when you are in this ordinary life, you do have to be patient, and it's more, and Buddhism is more for a self-discipline than the social cleansing. If you start, like, I know when you said, I got like, oh my goodness, I've been associating with this bunch of guys, I'm so much in trouble, I have to give up all of them. No, that's not the point was, be aware that there are people who treat you as friend, but they're there just because you have something to offer. They're there because they want to party. And they're there because you keep them around you because they praise that you are so cool and so nice. Be aware of them. And that awareness is the key to change, right? If you are in normal life, once you are aware, you will be more cautious. You will be more cautious to go further in that path. And you start to realize, okay, instead of like giving up all that relationship, how can I find, I'm sure everybody has the other side, we call the good friends or good-hearted friends in their life. They might value them now. You might invest a little more on that relationship and less on this. So it's more for your own self-discipline, and try to not totally like, I'm done, I'm deleting your contact, doors are locked, never come to me again. That would not be practical. Practicality is, okay, I see, I have these people around me, I need to be careful. When they praise me, so there's one of the friends is like who praise you, doesn't matter whether you do good or bad. And people like that. People like to be praised. And once you know that, oh wait, they are not actually friends, they are fake. Because they're praising whenever I do wrong things, I should be careful. I shouldn't do the same thing just because they praise, because they are fake. They're making me do wrong things, and I might get into trouble, and they're like, we didn't do anything, it's up to you. So that awareness will help you to be cautious and identify who is around you, and not to give up, don't like shut down every doors, but rather maintain a good distance, have that awareness, and don't fall into their category, which is likely to happen. Because they are, they're in your life because of something to get from you. Don't be the flip side. Go to their side and be low as them. I'm just cutting off. No, you can be a model. You can inspire a good friendship. That's always there. A lot of Buddha stories, Buddha had a lot of people who were not nice. We talked about Akosa Bharadwaja, who was like saying nasty things to the Buddha. Buddha wouldn't go there. I'm not going to teach you. You're filthy mouthed. No, Buddha find a way to flip his mind, flip his thinking, and same way many other people. So I think the message is, the teaching is like, be aware who you're surrounded and be the difference for them, and take it small steps.
See, you touched on exactly what I was hoping you would touch on, which is the difference between maintaining appropriate boundaries with people and cutting them off entirely.
Yes.
Because we have to know when that line is. And I think that for a lot of new people to Buddhism, they're uncomfortable trying to navigate those difficult relationships. It might seem easier just to cut them off immediately
Yes.
too soon.
That's true.
And I've even seen this in other behaviors too, where like people learn the Buddhist teachings on like, oh well, you know, this should only be treated like medicine and shouldn't be indulged in, and then they go, but I love cooking. I can't enjoy cooking ever again. And it's like, that's not what the teaching means.
That's right. That's right.
And so even this idea of being the rhinoceros is knowing at what point do you stay along and be a good influence, and at what point do you get to something that's so bad you have to cut off
Yes.
and go away.
There you go. There you
So
go.
it's knowing when to be have strong boundaries, and when to realize that those boundaries keep constantly being pushed back, and it's time to break away.
There you go. That's yeah. It's very sort of selfish way to judge. Like, you know, if it comes to the point, like you said, you know, these people are really going to add more trouble, more problem in my life than any good. That's like a no-go.
And I
That's a
bring
deal
this
breaker.
up because of the Western tendency, because of our Christian upbringings for many of us. Not all of us were Christian. But even culturally, we've learned the idea of like turn the other cheek. The idea that like you just accept whatever is given to you. People can be, you know. And so when we learn these Buddhist qualities of being compassionate, being kind, being kalyanamitta, being able to be like the earth, even if trash is thrown on it, we're not affected. There's this tendency to kind of overtake,
yeah.
and end up becoming a doormat. And so
Yes.
it's learning those fine points of balance in our conduct.
That's right, and that's where, you know, in Buddha's two major qualities is karuna and panya, mahakaruna, mahapanya, right? What you talked about, you know, turning the other cheek or take everything people throw at you is like being compassionate. And I don't think Buddha just mentioned be kind regardless of how people treat you. No, there is wisdom part, which you use your wisdom, your discernment, and appropriate knowledge in the given situation, right? If there is some danger, as you see it's imminent, it's happening, I don't think you're like, oh well, I just gonna face it. I'm just gonna, you know, sit here. Like even for monks, right? Think of that in, you know, I was in Sri Lanka during the Civil War, the craziest time, right? Now people might say it's a difficult place to be, but they remember, right? Yes. During the Tamil Tiger, yes. LTTE, I was there, but the most difficult time in 2006, 7, 8. I was traveling to Kandy, to Colombo, and we never knew when we were going to die in that process. So point is, during that time, a lot of monks started having Bodhi Puja, all the blessings for army. Now someone might question like, wait, these people go and kill the terrorists, and you're blessing these individuals? How are you Buddhist? You know, we cannot forget. And as long as those monks who are blessing, this is my idea, so I don't want you to think that it's a Buddhist way of interpreting. My idea is, you know, intention that matters. When we did chanting, I was a part of a lot of blessing those days. You know, at a university we had a big blessing for a whole multiple battalions. So when we did that, we wanted them to be safe. We didn't want them to go kill. That was not our intention. I mean, that's a job. But our intention was these people are protecting so many innocent lives, both sides. And we want to bless those individuals. May they be blessed, may they be protected. That was our intention. Other person can criticize, like, oh, there were a lot of news, there are articles, they criticize, oh, look at these monks, they are not anymore monks, they are promoting violence. Like, we did not promote violence. It was intention. You know, our intention were to bless these individuals who are protecting innocence. You can say that's a political statement, so be it. That's like my point of taking Buddhism. You cannot, I know it's hard, but you cannot give up common sense. You have to have that common sense and use it in a way that's like appropriate. It doesn't make your life any more miserable, right?
It sounds like at that time you were navigating the challenging road of like a police or a military chaplain.
Yes,
because
yes.
You're a religious figure.
Yes.
You have these people who are in need of your services as a spiritual guide, as a good kalyanamitta. You just abandon them, right?
Yes, we cannot. Yeah, we cannot. But take both. Be compassionate, and again, if you learn Buddhism, your life should be easier. You should feel calmer and happier. And I don't want to say happier, but you should feel content by practicing Buddhism. No matter what you do, you become vegetarian, you become vegan, you follow 5 precepts, 10 precepts, 223 precepts. It's up to you, but it should make your life better than yesterday. If it's not happening, then you got the wrong side of the snake. Remember the sutta, right? It's going to bite you back, because Dhamma it could be very tricky, and people grasp from the wrong side. That can lead to, like you said, social chaos. You give up all the relationship. I don't want to be around my family. I don't want these people in my life because they will ruin my Buddhist practice. That's the wrong side. You have to have them. And Buddha himself, his family, Koliya and Sakya, but they remember the story. They got into big battle. The mother's side and father's side, they got into big battle and killed thousands. Buddha tried to stop them. He tried 3 times. He couldn't do it. There was a massacre. He didn't give up on his family. You are violent people. I'm not going to come to your town. No. They are destined to fight. They are destined to do those things. Buddha tried. Didn't work. They fought. It was over. And Buddha continued to treat them as family members. So that's the common sense, that the social standard relationship we have, we continue to maintain. As long as you don't lose your peace, you don't lose your cool, and you don't lose the contentment that you had. So Dhamma should be treated as, it should make a day by day a little better. So thank you for thank you for patience.
Thank you. It's a good Dhamma talk and good.
Thank you, Subodh. That's a really good. We should do that more often. We should do more dialogues. I love that.
All right, so we're going to chant page 4 and page 10. Now you can take the chair. Namo tasse bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhang saranam gacchami, Dhammam saranam gacchami, Sangham saranam gacchami. Sentient beings are numberless. I vow to study them all. Deluding passions are inexhaustible. I vow to save them all. Dharma gates are limitless. I vow to study them all. Buddha's way is supreme. I vow to attain it. May suffering ones be suffering free, and the stuck fearless be. May the giving shadow of grief, and the sick fight until Thank you again. Thank you, Sai. Next Sunday, I believe the Subodha is going to give a Dhamma talk. So, by the power of Buddha, Dhamma, and the Sangha, you all be well and happy. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.